ABC News.
News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KVNU.
KVNU News Time is 4:05. I'm Bill Walter with this news update brought to you by U&I Furniture. It's National Hispanic American Heritage Month until October 15th. It's designed to honor Hispanic Americans who have positively influenced the nation and society. As part of the month-long celebration, Utah State University invites everyone in the community to participate in the first annual Hispanic Heritage Festival that will be held this Saturday on the Quad. It's a free event from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. on campus. The purpose is to promote and celebrate the Latinx culture in Cache Valley. It's also an opportunity to bring the Latino community together to celebrate cultural awareness and community. Saturday's event includes food trucks, performances, games and activities for children, and a dance class. KVNU News Time is 4:06. KVNU weather for tonight. Still have the severe thunderstorm watch in effect for most of western Utah, including the Cache Valley, and also on up into Franklin County, southeastern Idaho as well, in effect until 8 o'clock this evening. Still some strong storms out there, a possibility. Chance of showers and thunderstorms overnight, low in the mid-40s. A chance of showers in the morning, then just a slight chance of storms during the day Thursday, especially in the afternoon. High temperature in the upper 60s. It is 69 right now at KVNU. KVNU weather is brought to you by Top Job Asphalt. They specialize in asphalt paving and maintenance, as well as concrete installation and repair.
It's a busy time of year with a change of seasons from summer to fall. And with kids back in school, check out U&I Furniture student desks and chairs to give them a dedicated place to study. If you want a better night's sleep, U&I can help you. They feature the full line of Maloof and therapeutic mattresses, from inner spring to hybrid to the popular foam mattresses, including gel-infused memory foam. And if you sleep hot, have U&I show you the copper memory foam mattress that'll keep you cool. Helping furnish your home for over 90 years. There's always a better buy at U&I Furniture, downtown Logan.
KVNU News Time is 4:07. This coming Saturday, Division of Wildlife Resources is offering a free and discounted shooting at both of their ranges in the state to commemorate National Hunting and Fishing Day. One of them is the Cache Valley Public Shooting Range, located along the Valley View Highway. Participants must have a current hunting, fishing, or combination license to participate. This time of year, the facility is busy with hunters getting their firearms ready for the fall hunting season. The full-service public range has places for people to hone their skills with firearms and archery hunting. Participants can work on archery, handgun, muzzleloader, rifle, shotgun, and cowboy action skills. Hunter education classes are also taught at the local range. All ranges are open to the public, and reservations can be made to prevent people from just showing up and finding the ranges are not available. DWR Director Jay Shirley hopes that hunting enthusiasts will take advantage of the facilities the organization provides to help them to be successful in some of the best hunting in the country. And a 3-year-old girl is expected to survive after officials say she fell from a second-story window in Salt Lake County. They said the girl fell 18 feet from a window at an apartment complex in West Jordan Monday evening at about 5:30. The girl was taken to Primary Children's Hospital via Lifelight. Police say she suffered injuries but is expected to survive. Officers said the girl's parent was in a different room when she pushed the screen of an open window, which popped out before she fell. They said no arrests were made and they were not expecting charges as of Tuesday. The Utah Division of Child and Family Services was notified. KVNU News Time is 4:09. For more details on these and other stories, visit CacheValleyDaily.com.
Breaking news. Stimulating talk is what we do. KVNU 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
Did you know a block dryer vent is a real fire hazard? According to the Consumer Product Safety Commission, there are tens of thousands of dryer exhaust duct fires annually, leading to many injuries and death. You should have your dryer hose and the area around it cleaned once a year, and inspect the vent and hose for any blockages at least every 6 months. Don't wait for disaster to strike because your dryer vent is blocked. Give John Henson a call at the Duct Hunter. Call 770-4813 today.
Breathe better, save money, protect your home. We are the Duct Hunter.
Does your financial advisor take the time to really listen to you? Is your financial strategy personalized for you and your family? When you work with Edward Jones in Cache Valley, they focus on what's important to you. They'll help you create a personalized financial strategy backed by their advice, tools, and resources to help you reach your goals. And Edward Jones will partner to help your strategy stay on track, no matter what happens. Call one of the 7 Edward Jones locations in Cache Valley. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. Wounded Warrior Project was created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war, whether those scars are physical or mental. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
I think it's just vapor.
Vaping is safer than smoking, isn't it?
There's really not even that much nicotine in them, right?
One vape pod has as much nicotine as 1 pack of cigarettes.
My kid
knows it's dangerous.
5.4 million American kids vape, and most think it's harmless. Get your head out of the cloud. Talk to your kid about vaping. Visit talkaboutvaping.org. That's talkaboutvaping.org. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and the Ad Council.
Looking for ways to serve but don't know where to begin? Go to justserve.org, a free site to help those who want to serve find opportunities nearby. Just Serve has teamed up with organizations nationwide. Go to justserve.org and type in your city, and you'll see a list of service opportunities. Sign up on Just Serve to receive emails letting you know about new projects. Just Serve is fast, free, and easy. JustServe.org is provided as a service by The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
For the people.
We are waiting with bated breath for news from the Cache Republican Party meeting an executive committee tonight.
With Jason Williams.
And I'm really excited about this next segment. We have 2 guests here in studio. We're going to talk about something that we've talked about many times here on the show, but from a bit of a different angle.
Weekday afternoons from 4 till 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM.
Welcome to KVNU's For the People. It is Wednesday, September 21st. I'm Jason Williams, Bill Walter here in the studio as well. And we have quite a show for everyone today. We'll be speaking with Diane of Insulin for All. This is a Utah chapter of an international organization. And the name kind of says it all. We'll be talking to them, though, about a big summit, a virtual summit they're holding this Saturday. And they're inviting all Utahns to attend to understand why their movement exists and what it is they're asking state and federal lawmakers for when it comes to access to insulin for type 1 diabetics, or all diabetics, really. That's coming up in Hour 2 of today's show. Kicking things off here in Hour 1, it is time for this month's installment of Speak to the Mayor with Logan City Mayor Holly Daines here in studio with us. 753-5868 is the studio line if you have a comment or a question for the mayor. She'll be with us throughout the hour here in Hour 1. And Mayor Daines, welcome.
Thank you. It's always nice to be here.
I'm excited to see that you made it here without getting drowned in some of that. That was pretty nasty there for a little while today.
I know it, and we need to be grateful for every drop of moisture that comes. But yeah, sometimes when it comes with the wind and the lightning, we're like, oh.
That is. This was. First question, this has been on my mind since yesterday, a press release from the county talking about a trip that County Executive David Zook and others from around Utah took back to D.C., met with our congressional representatives and our 2 senators, but they talked about railroads and counties and cities, and I wanted to ask you, about that. I know Logan City, you've had your own issues with the railroad. And did you follow the news from that trip at all? Or how do you feel about the proposal, I guess, that maybe I shouldn't call it a proposal. They're asking our congressional leaders to take a look at this and say, is there something that can be done to make it, when cities and counties are trying to solve an obvious problem that no one disagrees there's a problem to solve,
right.
But then there's something that stymies the whole thing, and the railroad sometimes makes a declaration and there's no recourse for a city or a county.
Yeah, right. It goes back to Abraham Lincoln giving them rights to get the railroad built, and they still sort of think that they're
that it still works like that.
I know, so it's interesting. But as you know, we still have issues on 1400 North, but we did have a day-long negotiating session. Our attorneys and the outside legal firm that's representing us, and also the railroad's attorneys that flew in from Omaha, a couple of their top attorneys, and it really went a good part of the day. Again, we started a long ways apart. We think we're making some progress.
That's good.
But again, they submitted a potential draft of a memorandum of understanding, and it didn't seem to be quite what we had discussed in some areas. So we've made some suggestions and submitted it back to their attorneys. And we'll see. Again, we're trying to work something out, trying to negotiate. And our fallback position is that if we can't come to an agreement on something, that we'll revert back to saying, okay, we'll just let the Public Service Commission decide. Because in the meantime, the legislature did pass a law that, the Public Service Commission should be involved in setting these rates. And I think the railroad has tried to avoid that because, again, that's more of a statewide solution. So
sure,
we'll see. We're working on, again, that intersection. And, we have some other intersections to be considered as well. And it would be nice if we could get that all resolved as part of the negotiating. So we're doing the best we can. I can't tell you right now what that outcome will be.
Sure. That's the big unknown, and different from what the county's dealing with Valley View Highway, where the issue with the railroads raising there is a safety issue. With Logan City, it's literally a long-term management issue they're raising, right? Is that a fair characterization?
It is, but there's also a safety issue too. I mean, they're saying,
sure.
well, right now
By not
it's
doing
not
it,
safe,
right?
and it's like, if you would let us do what the plans were that we submitted initially, that we kind of went along with that understanding, it would be completely safe. If we can simply finish this project at our cost, we add this, it's like we're adding the safety improvements. It doesn't make sense to me, but
that really has stood out to me through all of this. Is you have these, it's a contrasting thing. You've got the railroad saying to the county, we have some safety concerns on how that Valley View Highway is widened, and then they're saying to Logan City, well, we would actually like you to keep it less safe for the time being. So. Yeah, I hope these things go well, and I do hope it's addressed at the federal level because, things have changed, and I get it. The railroad can't just let anything happen, but
exactly. But there need to be some reasonable parameters, and we know that other cities around the state have some of the same problems. So UDOT, is certainly aware of and watching this anxiously. We know other states are having the same problems, so that's why maybe it does need to go up to the federal level, and like I say, we're not the only ones dealing with this issue.
Yeah, definitely not. Not even here in Utah. It's and of course the issue will come up again, even maybe here in Cache Valley. So, yeah, fingers crossed. Glad to hear that the county, is working with our federal delegates on that, and hopefully that will benefit the city as well. And speaking of benefit the city, this is just an observation of mine. I don't know if we're calling it something yet. I've kind of, in my head, started calling it the Northwestern Business District that's taking shape out here. It is really taking shape quickly.
That is true. A number, of course, Costco is coming in there on 10th West and 10th North. Directly across the street from that is a huge FedEx warehouse. And then, there's the Blue Springs development, and that just continues to grow, and they have plans for other phases. So, again, everyone thought that we'd slow down during COVID, and for some reason, Logan didn't slow down during COVID,
right?
And we've just continued to grow. And we've been recognized in a number of publications as being one of the best places for, business in the country, actually. And it's like, shh, don't tell anyone anymore. We're getting, our growth is so fast. And, I know you've talked on this show about the open space bond before, and I don't know if you'd like to get into a discussion of that today, but, I think it really brings the question of, wow, we are growing so fast. And what kind of a legacy do we want to leave for our children? And unless we take some proactive action, as we know, private property, those owners have rights and they get to do what they choose. And if, a lot of our farms, especially in our area, you think when you come out of Sardine Canyon, you have that rural feel and that wide open farms and that egg space, and it's, I'm home.
Yeah. And that's a very Cache Valley thing.
That is part of our identity. And I think if we don't do something to preserve that space, we are going to be really sad when we just are like the Wasatch Front in a few years when our grandkids are around. And the question is then, how do you preserve it? And certainly there are private organizations that work. But if we could have a little bit of funding, which is what the Open Space Bond proposes to the voters, then, you could have a match for private funds for conservation easements, for state funds. For instance, when the city did the open space, the conservation easement along the river, they're the opposite from Trapper Park, from 10th West to about 19th West. Again, on the north side of the river, we put 47 acres along the river in a conservation easement. There was development coming in. It could have come right up to the river and shut down any public access. But this will assure, and not all conservation easements will have public access, and I should make that clear.
Sure,
but,
it's not mandatory.
Yeah, but at least this one, we got this money from the state McAllister Open Space Fund, but we had to come up with some matching money. And sometimes that can be a challenge, or sometimes before you can really talk to a property owner about the value, you have to do surveys, you have to do appraisals to, estimate the value before you can talk about what would a conservation easement be worth. So those are things that could potentially be done, if the voters choose to approve this open space bond. And, we're sort of presenting it to the voters. Look, on a typical home, and obviously that will vary, but typical for a point of reference, it would be about $2.50 a month, and that is for 20 years. The length of the bond is 20 years.
Sure.
We think that amount of time would generate $20,000 to $30,000. $30 million. Yeah, get my decimals right. Wow. $20 to $30 million, which seems like a lot, but again, if you're talking about buying property, and we're hoping maybe, easements tend to cost less than buying a property outright, but can it preserve some of those wonderful farms? And, those aren't going to have open space or access to the public, but it's that open space quality that we love, and, can also help preserve waterways and, wildlife. But again, I hope people will ask themselves the question, what is the legacy we want to leave, and what is the value to me? Am I willing to give up, a small milkshake a month, or, it just, they'll have to decide. But I personally am supporting it. Again, Logan City as an entity can't use any resources to promote it. Again, the same with the county. They can put out the information pamphlet, which just simply spells it out. But personally, I can support it. And I actually have been on the committee that's talked about this for quite some time. And we actually, before COVID, we were about ready to go out with a public opinion survey to see, to test the waters, to see if this is something that interested the voters. And with the uncertainties of COVID, we pulled back. And so we've lost 2 more years. And I think people can see the development that's happening in those 2 years. And it's like, well, we don't have a lot of time to promote this, but if we wait 2 years until the next election, how much more have we lost? So, so pretty soon you should see signs going up saying yes on Proposition 1. We're going to do a mailer to, and again, when I say we, that is a private organization. We've raised private funding.
Oh, very
absolutely nice. No city funds involved, because that would not be allowed. But to just send a flyer sort of telling people what's involved, how the decisions will be made. It'd be something kind of like the RAPS committee, where there's a group of citizens appointed by the county council that review applications, make recommendations to the county council. Again, you have that check and balance, so your elected officials make the final decision, the elected officials being the county council. So I really think it could work. And that's the other interesting thing. The RAPS tax is on the ballot again this year for reapproval every 10 years. Right? And, 10 years ago when it had to be reapproved, I think the approval rate was well over 90%.
It was near unanimous.
Right. So it's recreation, arts, parks, zoos. And you think about all the great projects that have been done through the whole county in every community to, again, parks, trails, but you have to have a little bit of money to do that. And
and also I think the idea of being forward-thinking about this as opposed to, you mentioned the Wasatch Front, and a great example you give, because we are actually talking about a situation where it's the difference between driving into Cache Valley through Sardine Canyon now and 10 years from now driving, having it look a little bit more like when you drive out of Ogden Canyon or Weber Canyon.
Right.
And it's just, that's a reality. That's literally the choice we have before us. And clawing this stuff back is possible, but not to the extent that setting it aside in advance. But I think it's worth pointing out, too, it would be far more expensive. Logan City's learned that, right? Trying to pull things back a little bit to create a park or open space is a lot more planning, a lot more money for taxpayers. Setting aside in advance is one of the ways that Logan, I think, has had great success.
Right. And again, we also stress that this is only with willing property owners.
Sure.
We're
not just claiming property.
Right, we're not forcing anything here. But again, we know of farmers who, they're approaching retirement age and none of their children choose to go into farming. We know that's a challenging profession right now. But, so if they don't go into farming, how does that farmer sort of divide up their land, among the heirs, or do they just simply sell out to a developer?
Giving them the option at least to, instead of selling to a developer, sell to the taxpayers of the valley.
Right.
And then it's set aside for, as you said, it wouldn't, each sale might be different. Some might not be public access. Some might literally just be to preserve a particular piece of open space for, the look and feel of Cache Valley. And that's a worthwhile investment. But I would guess the majority of people who come to this committee, if it's created by voters on the ballot in November, are going to be saying, I'd like my land I would like to sell it, and I'd like it to be used, for a public access point, a park, or somewhere a trail can run through. And I'll be honest with you, the only thing we're hearing from listeners on this has been support. But I love that the city's going to be sending out some information, because there are a lot of questions. People have asked, how would it work in this scenario or that scenario?
And the city is not sending it out, just so we're clear. Again,
I'm sorry. Yeah,
this private entity is sending it out. But again, and it will refer to a website. It's cacheopenspace.org. Again, there are a lot of kind of frequently asked questions there. And we've got great support. I mean, everything from the Farm Bureau to...
Farm Bureau was so excited about this.
I know, Bridger Audubon. So, again, if you had that conservation easement on the farm, that might allow, or it could allow one of the children to say, okay, I'll keep farming. We can use the money from the easement to pay off the other siblings and make it fair.
Oh, okay.
There's just different ways, you could do it. But at least you have a tool, if someone has the interest, to try and leave that legacy for their grandchildren, the valley,
Sure. That's, and from your perspective, having seen, the work of Logan City so far, the alternative process for this is far more limited, right? And restrictive in a way. The options that Logan City or any city in the valley, well, actually, maybe a better way to go, some of the smaller cities just simply can't do this. The revenue isn't there, the resources aren't there, and so they don't have the option. This would give them countywide an option. What's so unique to me about this one, you mentioned being on the committee and speaking with former Republican lawmaker Jack Draxler a few times about this here on the show, the research that was done. Very different than when, 10, 11 years ago, there was a proposal to do something similar in a very different way, but and it got a lot of pushback and kind of dried up. But what was different this time is 6 months, I think, of weekly meetings and research, and then what was presented to the county was very data-driven.
Right. I mean, again, they did some scientific surveys among registered voters, which, again, it's a small sample, but they do it scientifically, so it should be representative. A very high percentage of people said they would be willing to pay to support, they would be willing to approve the tax increase for this. They valued it that much. And a lot of people even said they'd be willing to pay more than we're asking for. Again, we didn't want to ask for too much. We want it to be reasonable. And again, we think, $250 a month for the typical home, hopefully that people feel like that is a worthwhile investment for them to help preserve open space in our valley.
Sure. That's I appreciate the opportunity to talk about this because it is it's a big decision. I'm hoping for both. I'm hoping for approval of this and renewal of the RAPS tax. Speaking of the RAPS tax, it's worth pointing this out before we go to the news. The listeners out there should know the state oftentimes discusses, it's never happened, but they've oftentimes discussed actually taking the RAPS program here in Cache Valley and pointing to it as a success. And they've often discussed, how can we make that a statewide thing? And so to me, that's almost like a declaration of success. When you have state leaders, they haven't figured out how to do it, but when they're looking at the way it works here in Cache Valley with that RAPS program, and they're saying that's so successful, we should do that everywhere.
And they do it in, I know, Salt Lake County. They do it there, and I don't know. But again, it is a county-wide. It has to be adopted by the county.
Sure.
And as you say, not everyone has done that, but it's surely been a great program here in Cache County. In fact, the most recent, Logan City typically gets a generous grant from RAPS. We apply every year, as do other cities and entities. But
which brings a lot of the entertainment we enjoy in downtown, for example, it is dependent on that, right?
The Eccles Theater typically applies for a grant, but one of the most recent ones the city has received was for restrooms at Trapper Park and to pave that parking lot out there. So I was just out there last week, and they have the new restroom. It was kind of one of these prefab things.
Already.
So since it's not hooked up, we need to hook up the water, and they're hoping to get some asphalt down in a parking area before the asphalt plants close in a month or so. But so just, incremental improvements, things that the general budget couldn't afford, but because we have this extra grant money, we're able to do these improvements that are enjoyed by everyone who goes to the park.
Sure. So speaking of parks, just a quick question here from a listener. Any updates or news from the mayor on... Now, the listener says arts in the parks, but if I'm remembering this correctly, this was a discussion about murals, maybe even constantly changing murals that would invite local artists to kind of spruce up the public parks and downtown as the construction continues. Listener just wanted to know how that program is going.
We have 3 new murals in our parks this summer. So if you haven't been there, 2 in Merlin Olsen Central Park, 1 on what used to be the old ice skating building, which just, really livens up that building. 1 in the tunnel that goes from Merlin Olsen Park under Center Street to the Boulevard Trail. And
that one's amazing.
Yeah.
That's my personal favorite.
Yeah, you had this dark concrete trail, and, now there's fun art, and there's also one down at the soccer complex, which features a soccer motif, and the artist went down there to watch some of the kids playing soccer, and my understanding is they used some of the kids that were really there playing soccer as models, and
that's great.
So it has been fun, and we will explore some other things. In fact, they're doing one on construction fences. Some of the artists will be doing, like you say, some temporary ones on these canvas banners to go on the construction fences and enliven things while, we're looking at those fences. But
I'm a big fan.
Yeah, little by little, as we have some money to do that, it just adds a little character and fun and life to downtown is what we think.
I like
our
it.
Parks.
I honestly, one of the most creative things I've seen from a city in a long time, to not only spotlight local artists, but Construction sites are usually not pretty or fun to look at, although that hole under the Emporium there for a while, that got my attention every time I went past, but that was big. But yeah, the idea of spotlighting local artists, but also, kind of livening up, as you said, construction sites, but also park murals and that tunnel. If you haven't seen that near Merlin Olsen Park, that one's just amazing to see. And really, as the mayor said, takes this drab concrete tunnel, well-lit tunnel, but drab concrete tunnel, and turns it into like something that you'd actually go and park there to go see this. And that I don't know, very cool. So I appreciate that question. Other listeners, if you have questions or comments, 753-5868. More of our Speak to the Mayor hour with Logan City Mayor Holly Daines right after this look at the news with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News Time is 4:35, and the news is brought to you by Roof Rescue. A Utah boy who suffered a serious head injury after falling from a bunk bed during last month's Little League World Series has returned home from the hospital, and his family is suing the league and the company that made the bed. The family's lawyer said Tuesday that 12-year-old Easton Oliverson has undergone 3 brain operations and is now experiencing seizures. He said the boy fell in his sleep on August 15th. The lawsuit accuses Little League International and Savoy Contract Furniture of Williamsport of negligence for using or selling bunk beds without safety railings. A Little League spokesperson declined comment, and the furniture maker did not immediately respond to messages seeking comment. A Utah family has reached a $3 million settlement with Salt Lake City in a lawsuit filed after officers shot and wounded a 13-year-old boy with autism in September 2020. Family attorney Nathan Morris announced the settlement Tuesday. He says 13-year-old Lyndon Cameron suffered life-changing injuries and still has bullets lodged in his body. The shooting was one of several nationwide in recent years that fueled questions about police response to calls involving people with mental illness. A Salt Lake City spokesman says the city began and continues to provide training after the shooting for police and other responders in such cases. And the University of Idaho's plan to build the nation's largest research dairy and experimental farm has cleared a big hurdle. Idaho Governor Brad Little and 2 other statewide elected officials on the Idaho Land Board on Tuesday approved the university's plan to use $23 million to buy roughly 640 acres of farmland in south-central Idaho, the heart of the state's dairy industry. The 2,000-cow research dairy could help the state's dairy industry find solutions for greenhouse gas emissions from animals, land and water pollution, and waste systems. The proposed Center for Agriculture, Food, and the Environment could also bring in millions of dollars of research grants to the school. KVNU News Time is 4:37.
This is Mark with Roof Rescue. Most of us don't think about our roofs very often until you see shingles on the ground or water drips through your ceiling. Keep your roof in tip-top shape to protect your home, your biggest investment. Roof Rescue uses only the highest quality materials with experienced workmanship guaranteed to last. Even if you were denied by your insurance company the first time, a free re-evaluation can be made. Visit roofrescueusa.com to schedule your free consultation in Cache Valley and surrounding areas. Roof Rescue, providing watertight peace of mind.
KVNU weather, we do have that severe thunderstorm watch in effect until 8 o'clock tonight. Rain showers with thunderstorms likely this evening, then a chance of showers and thunderstorms after midnight. Some thunderstorms this evening may produce damaging winds and hail. Overnight low in the mid-40s. Chance of showers and thunderstorms Thursday morning, then partly cloudy. Slight chance of showers and storms in the afternoon tomorrow. It will be cooler, high temperature in the upper 60s. Earlier today, 78 was our high with some storms this afternoon. It's cooled things down to 60 degrees. That's what it is currently at KVNU. KVNU weather brought to you by Napa Auto Parts. When you buy Napa Auto Parts, you're getting the best. If you need a battery or wiper blades, pull into any of the 5 locally owned Preston to Providence locations. They'll make sure you are getting the right size and even help you install it. For more details on these and other stories, visit CashValleyDaily.com. Let's check Wall Street now with Edward Jones.
This is Tammy Siemens bringing you the Daily Financial Market Report for September 21st on behalf of financial advisor T.J. Davis and Edward Jones. Volatility likely to stay elevated until inflation peak is confirmed. Heading into the last quarter of the year, we think that inflation will be the number one driver that will determine the direction of travel for the markets. Until a pattern of lower inflation readings is established, likely 3 or more needed, equities are going to have a hard time mounting a sustainable rebound. While the August CPI data moved us a bit further away from the best-case scenario, it does not necessarily change the likelihood that the rate of inflation will slow in the coming months, driven by improved supply and demand dynamics. With the Feds firmly on the brakes and growth slowing, the microeconomic background remains challenging, requiring patience from investors. Markets might stay range-bound for a while, but should eventually start recovering as central banks become less hawkish. The Dow closed down 522 points at 30,184. The Nasdaq closed down 205 points at 11,220. The S&P 500 closed down 66 points at 3,790. In commodities, the price of crude oil was down 55 cents at $83.39, and the spot price of gold was up $11.10 to $1,682.20. In local stocks of interest, Thermo Fisher was down $6.47 at $525.69. Zions Bancorp was down 60 cents at $57.10. Autoliv was down $1.82 at $71.34. Northrop Grumman was down $1.13 at $492.87. Home Depot was down $2.60 at $271.57, and Lowe's was down $2.05 at $188.36. This has been today's Financial Market Report and Stocks of Local Interest, brought to you on behalf of Edward Jones, member SIPC, and financial advisor T.J. Davis, serving individual investors with personalized attention and financial advice at 575 East, 1400 North, Suite 150, North Logan. If you'd like additional information, please contact our office at 435-753-0153 or any of the 7 local branches located in Providence, Logan, and Smithfield. Have a great day.
Ready to experience a new level of local transit? Well, with the new CDTD app, it's super simple for you to plan your trip to a T. With our interactive map, you can view bus stops closest to your location with real-time arrival information. You can mark your favorite stops, get alerts, set reminders, and much more. So, whether you're a seasoned pro or it's your first ride, get moving today with the new CDTD app.
For over 40 years, Wheatland Seed has helped area farmers succeed by lowering input costs and increasing returns. Now, to maximize your returns, we're offering our highest prices of the season for safflower. We'll arrange pickup on your new crop safflower that's not already contracted, or you can deliver to our Brigham City facility. For details, call Hunter or Pete at wheatlandseed.com. That's wheatlandseed.com.
It's summer clearance time at Cox Honeyland in Logan for the month of September. You know Cox Honeyland for their honey, but did you know they have a fun gift store full of decor, treats, and more? Stop by for discounts on all summer and Halloween merchandise. They'll have in-store giveaways, samples, and of course, pure local honey is on sale during National Honey Month. That's Cox Honeyland and Gifts, 1780 South Highway 89, Logan.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. It is Speak to the Mayor here on KVNU, and you're welcome to join us, 753-5868, or text us through the Google chat, KVNU FTP. in the Google chat if you'd like to send a message in. Logan City Mayor Holly Daines, our guest here in the studio. And Mayor Daines, I apologize. I kind of commandeered the whole agenda of what we're going to talk about today with a few of my questions that took us right up to the halfway point. But I know you always come in with some things you want to make sure and highlight and make sure people know about. And there's never a shortage of things going on in Logan City, it seems like.
Exactly.
Change is permanent.
Change is permanent. That's a good tagline there. Couple of things, just I guess on a personal note, I've been trying to think of a way to communicate with citizens better, and that's not just social media based. And I mean, we post it. So I've started a new city newsletter that I'm emailing out, so people can get it right to their inbox, and they can subscribe or they can unsubscribe if they don't want that. But the first one I sent out, it just had like pictures of like 4 projects we were doing, kind of updates on them, just a short little, just a short update, because I know people are busy to try and keep their interest. But then there's also often a link if people do want a little deeper dive and a few more details. But just explanations on things. So if you're interested, it's the sign up. The link is right on the front page of the city website. Encourage you to do that. You can also sign up for your different individual neighborhood newsletters. We've talked before about, our neighborhoods, and, we have most of our neighborhoods, and they're divided kind of by your school boundary area. Okay. Most of them have a pretty active group. And then, if there's issues that they have problems with or concerns, then they have an avenue to come to us, and we have meetings and meet together and discuss, what we could do to improve things and make things better. So it's an attempt to try and personalize government a little more. Again, as our towns get bigger, sometimes that's a little harder, but I really do answer almost every email that I receive. And again, the email is just kind of a non-threatening way to get a little update. If you like it, great. If not, you don't have to read it, or you can unsubscribe. But so if that interests you, cool. I'd like to try and build that news or that email list just a little bit.
That's very nice.
Yeah.
I enjoy them myself because it makes planning a radio show a lot easier sometimes. I can look at all these city newsletters and get an idea of what's going on around the valley. And I know you've been a longtime fan of the neighborhood councils, as they're called, and you've always said, the more the merrier. You want more people involved in those. And it's worth pointing out that Logan City, over the years, there are minds that have been changed, decisions that have been made, changes in communities that have actually come to a reality because one person came to a meeting like a neighborhood council or shot an email into your office and said, what about this? Or I thought of this. That does happen, right?
It does. And for instance, from the last neighborhood meeting, someone said, this street, when I go out at night to visit my neighbors, seems so dark. Is there any way we could get a street light? And so I sent the light and power team out, and they're like, they're right. This is really dark. And so they installed a new street light. So, we don't resolve every single problem that way, but we're willing to take a look at it and at least see if there's something that does need to be done, because it's a big city. We're always not aware of every detail. Sometimes we do need citizens to bring things to our attention. So, again, we're always happy to engage with people, or if there's a concern about an enforcement issue, they may not, we do have, staff that works on that. But if you don't know who to send it to, shoot me an email and I'll direct it to the right person. I'm more than happy to, make sure it gets to the right place. And we do have a report a problem feature on the website as well that's monitored. And again, you can just submit, a question or problem, a comment. Sure. You can be anonymous if you want, and it gets looked at. So
that is, this is a nice note from a listener, and I know, I don't know what the official rules are. Listener says, could the mayor remind people that if you see the gutter in front of your house clogged, don't wait for the city to fix it?
It's true. And, we have, I was looking at it the other day. Shoot, I wish I could remember how many miles of road do we have in this city. And then you have to double that if you consider both sides of the road. So, we have street crews that try and get around and clean up, after storm events, keep the storm drains clean. But, I have a storm drain in front of my house, and, I go out and just, kind of shovel it up and throw it in the green can or the garbage, depending on where it needs to go. Once in a while, the street crews beat me to it, but the more we can do individually, the more it helps the city, and we are surely appreciative when people can do that. If there's something they see that they can take care of, that we should be, then let us know. But again, we have great citizens who often just pitch in and do things, and we really appreciate that, and it helps all of us.
This listener pointing out specifically, I guess, during this heavy rain this afternoon, really heavy rain, there was a clogged gutter on the corner and quite a pool that had built up, and cars were, heading through it. And that can be a safety issue.
It can.
So he said he pulled over and just, pulled a branch out of the way and just hope more people would do that, I guess.
Thank you. What a great kind of Good Samaritan act.
Sure.
Again, maybe nobody sees that, but, who knows who you helped or what accident you maybe prevented. And so thank you to good, kind people that are willing to do that.
It does help. And as a person who has hit one of those puddles before in the dark, it can actually be an issue. And as you said, the city can't be everywhere at once at all times. And 753-5868, again, if you'd like to join us with a question or a comment for Logan City Mayor Holly Daines here in the studio. We'll be back right after this.
If it's leaking, replace it. If it's worn, replace it. If you're constantly worrying about it with every windstorm, replace it. What are we talking about? Your roof. Palmer's Metal Mart is your place for a long-lasting, great-looking metal roof for your home, cabin, barn, or shed. Metal roofing is the put-it-up-and-forget-about-it roofing solution. For almost 30 years, people have chosen Palmer's Metal Mart for metal roofing for their selection, price, and most importantly, the professional help you get with your project. From start to finish, Metal Mart can help you with all the options for your amazing metal roof. Whether it's an accent on your roof or a complete re-roof, Palmer's Metal Mart is the place to go. Metal provides a unique and timeless look that gives the wow factor to any project. So come see the metal roofing experts at Palmer's Metal Mart, located in Lehigh and Logan. We're ready to help. Ask about quick same-day will calls or delivery to your door. Palmer's Metal Mart, everyone's metal store.
This is Jace Allen with Allen Mortuaries. From our family to yours, thank you for voting Allen Mortuaries Best Funeral Home of Northern Utah and Best Funeral Home of Cache Valley. We sincerely appreciate the confidence and trust your family has given us over the past 83 years. When you trust us with the final preparations of your loved one, you get the kind of caring, personalized service you can only expect from a family-owned funeral home. It's our family serving yours. Voted Best Funeral Home of Cache Valley in Northern Utah, Allen Mortuaries. Then, now, always.
My name is Dr. Brandon Prevey, and I love being a dentist. I work with Drs. Curtis Taylor, Anthony Larson, and Paul Harris. When people ask where our office is, I actually have two answers. First, I spend part of the week at Logan Dental Associates, and then second, I spend the other part at Cherry Creek Dental in Richmond. Both locations are a full-service dental office and can take care of everyone in the family. Call or go online and make your appointment with the office that's most convenient for you. Logan Dental Associates in Logan or Cherry Creek Dental in Richmond.
Looking for a job or a career change? Plan to attend Cache Valley Media Group's Job Fair Thursday, September 22nd at Castle Manor in Hyde Park from 11 to 6. Turn at 3900 North Highway 91 in Hyde Park. Be prepared to talk with businesses looking for employees now. Advanced Call Center Technologies, HH1 Corp, Campbell Snacks, Nexio, Post Cereals, and more. Better pay, better benefits, better job. Attend the Job Fair Thursday, September 22nd from 11 to 6 p.m. at Castle Manor in Hyde Park. Presented by the Cache Valley Media Group.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. Logan City Mayor Holly Daines, our guest here in the studio. If you have a comment or question, still time for a call or two, 753-5868. We've covered a lot of ground, but, really, we joke about this every time, Mayor, but we could fill 2 hours, maybe multiple days a week, just listing the things that are happening in Logan, the changes that are coming. It's an extended, fingers crossed, an extended construction season, of course, like last year. So some of that will probably continue into the fall. Students are back, and I know that's always a bit of pressure on the city, right?
The traffic increases when the students come back, but, so does kind of the life around the town and,
sure,
those sorts of things. But, it's always kind of fun to see the university in session. And I think, if I understand correctly, they have their biggest freshman class ever this year.
That's very nice. It's cool to see that. I know recruiting and enrollment had been down a few times, but I did catch that in the news. The city of Logan, when we talked about open space, we talked about the RAPS program, all of this. Last week we talked with North Logan Mayor Lindsay Peterson about the ongoing discussions around sewer and fees and all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of change, but pieces seem to be falling into place. Does it feel that way to you as the mayor?
I think so. And, we've had the garbage issue come up because...
Or I'm sorry, garbage, not sewer.
I mean, that's always an issue, too.
Sure.
But with garbage, again, I think, the mayors have really gone to work and looked at some other options. We have a draft MOU kind of with the county attorney right now, just sort of, just putting in writing what we're willing to do for the next just 3 years, letting people know that, look, we will continue the service for the next 3 years to give you time to figure this out. Again, we've offered, we're offering them that, we'll give the county $50,000 from the Environmental Enterprise Fund if they'd like to hire a consultant to really look at the big picture and
see what's best.
Yeah, and really take the time. Again, with us providing the service for 3 years, it's like take the time to look at this, decide what's going to be the best long-term plan, and do your homework without feeling pushed or rushed, because we'll cover you. Again, we want whatever new system is determined to be best by those users. Like,
sure,
we want you to be successful. We've done this for a long time. We realize you haven't, but we're investing in everybody's success, and we'll put together kind of a neutral rate setting committee for the landfill to make sure everyone's treated fairly, and that other residents kind of pay the same rates as Logan residents. So we we're putting that down in writing, and
that's nice,
and just trying to work through those details. So I'm confident that it's all going to be, again, change is hard, but with our growth and just the numbers, I mean, you look at those census numbers, it's like
not realistic.
Yeah, it's like a lot. We just need
quo.
to things need to shake out and change a little bit.
I appreciated, Mayor Peterson from North Logan told us last week. She said, even though she's new to the office, she said, everyone knew this was coming. It was not a surprise, the growing pains that everyone's dealing with. But she said that for her perspective, at least, for North Logan's mayor, she said she appreciated the breathing room that they had to figure this out, to find a way to do it. And I really thought that was a nice kind of cherry on top of this whole thing, that the growing pains are going to be hard for every city.
It's true. And again, Mayor Peterson, especially being new, has done just a terrific job kind of leading a group of the mayors to say, let's look at the best way to solve this problem, and do the rest of us need to come together. And so I've been impressed with her leadership on the topic. That's and nice. Appreciate what she has done. So
this is probably not the last time that we'll have to talk about changes to we've I think been a bit privileged here in the Valley. Speaking of someone from one of the smaller satellite cities of Logan, as they say in Cache Valley, or the county council. There's been a lot of privilege on that front from my perspective. I'm not saying this is I won't even ask you to comment and maybe make someone mad, but I feel that a lot of the smaller cities have benefited greatly from a lot of this falling on Logan City's shoulders. And it does, as you see the growth and as you see the growth projections, probably not the last time that we'll be talking about how some of these things have to change to where it's more of a shared burden.
I think that's a good summary. And again, way back when these arrangements started many, many years ago, I mean, it did make sense. And
sure. But
again, nothing stays the same, and you kind of need to reassess and say, going forward, what does make sense? And
sure.
Again, there are growing pains with all of that, but
and that's really what it comes down to, right? There are a lot more garbage cans out there. I mean, it's that simple, right?
Right. And so many more miles to travel, and it makes a difference.
Mayor Daines, always a pleasure to have you here in the studio. Always a fan of your frankness on these issues. And for listeners, great questions once again. If you have more, as Mayor Daines has pointed out, there are communication links right on the city's website, main page, loganutah.org, a link to the new city newsletter the mayor will be writing each month. You can subscribe there as well, and also the neighborhood council newsletters, the neighborhood newsletters, breaking it down by neighborhood or roughly school boundaries. Great stuff. Check it out. There are also some links to information about the open space initiative we discussed, and even the RAPS program, how it functions, if you want to learn more about that. Though both of those will be on your ballot this November if you're a registered voter. And thank you to Logan City Mayor Holly Daines. To our listeners, we'll be back with more in hour 2 right after this on KVNU Logan.